relied upon by PG&E, and that we were jeopardized. It's enough to have had the kinds of things said about us that we're insurgents and that we are cats and dogs, meaning that they are shocked that the conservative movement and the not so conservative movement could band together in common cause, which is what we are exactly doing.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Michael Peavy's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Michael Peavy's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Michael Peavy's got to go. Honk your horn if you agree. PG&E don't microwave me. Honk your horn if you agree. PG&E don't microwave me.
Cell phones, please, off.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, all cell phones should be off in this hearing room for a variety of reasons. One of them I know is close to the heart of several people who want to speak today, but also just as a matter of civility and common practice. We don't need cell phones.
Not just vibrate, turn off because the vibrate's still
And
effective.
please. Now we will have public speakers. The first is April Maceda.
Good morning. My name is April Macedo. I'd like to introduce you to a few people. Hector Macedo. He was Jackie and Janessa's brother and uncle.
Jackie Gray was
Jackie Gray and Janessa
For
Gray.
those that don't know, we're listening in.
And this is Maria Elena Macedo and Agustin Macedo. They're parents to Jackie Gray and grandparents to Janessa Gray. We are some of the many people affected by the San Bruno explosion. We are some of the many who had to wait all night on September 9th for news regarding loved ones and their safety. I personally called over 13 hospitals that night, at least 7 times each, searching for my Aunt Jackie and Janessa, asking them to check the morgue every time for a 12-year-old girl. This was the very bottom of the lowest point in our lives, only to later find they never even made it past their driveway. A week later, I returned to that very same driveway. It was literally all that was left. The street was unrecognizable. The destruction was unfathomable, even to my seeing eyes. Holding my grandmother up as she walked out of the church with her daughter in a casket to her right and her youngest granddaughter in a casket to her left is something I will never be able to forget. Seeing an entire elementary school crying unconsolably as their classmate and school-elected president passed by in a casket is something I never hope to see again. I share this with you for a reason. Don't let this happen again to someone else. It's in your hands. It's in your hands to ensure the safety of not just people, but children, mothers, fathers, and cousins. Your children, your mothers, your fathers, your cousins. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we all share your passion and your commitment, and we have it here. And as you'll see, you don't have to stay, but if you want to see things roll out later in the program this morning, I think you'll feel comforted. We have a large number of people that wish to speak to us on the topic of smart meters. I'm going to ask them, number one, please to the maximum extent you can, consolidate your comments. And secondly, I'm asking you to limit themselves to 1 minute. There are 37 speakers, starting with Arlene Jasinski.
Good morning. My name is Arlene Jasinski. Does PG&E serve its customers? I have a compromised immune system. I submitted a PG&E directed special circumstance physician's letter to PG&E. The PG&E meters at my tiny 2-room house are making me sick. My communications from early January to PG&E
We can't have you there.
have been futile.
There's got to be a clear. Can you look back?
This problem, my problem, must be addressed and fixed immediately. Please, enough is enough. Please have PG&E serve this customer.
Thank you, Commissioners. I am David Witches, and I live in Woodacre in West Marin. It is said that information is the oxygen of democracy. Since there was no democratic process for the installation of smart meters, here is some information. Number one, microwave and electrical hypersensitivity are real. My wife and I have been suffering for over a decade, and we've connected with hundreds of others in our communities who suffer like us. Two, excessive EMF and dirty electricity are toxins. There are over 6,000 studies directly relating biological effects to non-thermal radiation, especially pulse frequency, like smart meters. Three, current FCC standards are outdated, inadequate, higher than most other countries, and compromised by industry. Four, smart meters are in violation of even the inadequate FCC standards. 2 recent studies by Sades Associates showed possible violations up to 6 feet from meters. We ask the Commissioners to protect our democratic rights and support Marin County's moratorium on the smart meters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Riley. I live in Fairfax. I have electro-sensitivity. Your motto and supposed purpose is to serve the public by protecting consumers and ensuring the provision of safe, reliable utility service with a commitment to environmental enhancement. I know the science of physiological impact of wireless radiation. Most of all, I know my body. I know what I feel and what happens in the presence of wireless radiation. What I don't understand is why this wireless grid continues to be rolled out. People, the public, are pleading, they're begging, they're protesting. Stop. This is hurting us. This is not just about me having electrosensitivity. Over 3% of the population has electrosensitivity, and everyone is susceptible. It's not a fringe illness, it's real, it's debilitating. I beg you to support the public at large and its most vulnerable citizens. Please serve, protect, and ensure our safety, just as your motto states. Please enact an immediate moratorium on the rollout of the wireless smart meter.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julie Drucker. I live in Ukiah, California, and I live in a house where a smart meter was installed last year. I immediately got very, very sick. There's a cell tower in the middle of my town with a church steeple. There are at least 4 businesses I can't enter in town. The post office included, the library, the medical center. There is no infrastructure in Mendocino County. Everything is cellular. So when the smart meter is added to all the other wireless technologies, many, many of us are getting very, very sick all over the county. To me, this is a public health issue. This is a civil rights issue. This is a disability rights issue. And it's an environmental justice issue. I have a friend who lives in Sebastopol, California. She is disabled from a car crash. She has severe brain trauma. She is less than 200 feet from a cell tower. A wireless system blankets the whole building, and there are smart meters over the entire structure. She can't be here, but I can speak for her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Hudson. I'm from Roanoke Park, California. I'm a cancer survivor, a mom, a grandmom, and a retired teacher. I don't own a cell phone. I don't use my microwave oven, and I do not have any Wi-Fi devices in our home. I get severe headaches. I get lightheaded, and lightheaded when I'm in smart meter deployed areas. When I drive down the main street to get out of the area by my home, I have to drive past infrastructure. I get severe headaches at that time also. The February 18, 2011 SAGE report addendum states that there are FCC compliance violations. for the OWS NICS 14 PG&E meter made by Silver Springs at a distance of 11 inches from a baby's crib on the other side of that wall. I've been in areas where there are 25 meters on the other side, on a wall with children sleeping on the other side. It is your responsibility to stop smart meter deployment. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Louise Stanfield. I am a small business owner from Santa Rosa, and my health has been destroyed by wireless technology. In 2009, a static-like audible blast from my cell phone surged into my head and catapulted me into the horrific and isolating world of radiation sickness, also known as electrosensitivity. Now I suffer from searing ear pain, nausea, heart palpitations, headaches, and insomnia due to wireless exposure. Now, an arrogant PG&E is forcing wireless smart meters on all homes and businesses with no opt-out. This has ramped up my symptoms to a level that I cannot tolerate, and unbelievably to me, I am considering needing to leave my home because I can no longer exist there. PG&E's published statements that its wireless smart meters cause no ill health effects is an outright lie and deception and a corruption of continuing scientific evidence to the contrary. Stop the rollout now. Thank you.
Thank you. David Gooder, followed by Julie Lipson.
First off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Florio for starting on his listening tour. I think that's some of what we need. I'm a retired research analyst for the state of California. I wanted to point out that just 2 days ago, Diane Sawyer on the World Evening News gave evidence of definitive excitation from, there was a new study by the NIH caused by cell phone radio frequency. It wasn't the first. They acted like it was the first, but it's the most recent. The researcher was interviewed afterward and said she would change her behavior from now on based on what she saw in that study. Fortunately, I live with a woman who is electrosensitive, so I know all about this. I know the risks of it. I know how she feels. I know it's bad. The smart meter puts out the same kind of microwave radiation, except in shorter, pulsed, more concentrated bursts. And as reported by Sage and Associates, it may even be stronger than we think. Just one more thing. Our town, Sebastopol, though tempted to pass a moratorium, says the legal authority is out of our hands. The authority is in your hands. They were good. They behaved. Please stop this reckless assault on us. If PG&E needs to monitor my puny utility bill, maybe we should look at fiber optic or something else so that we don't have to lose. I hear my wife talking about leaving because of this, and that's unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Julian Lipson. I'm a retired professor from UCSF of nursing and medical anthropology. My current research study involves interviews with people who are electrically sensitive and those whose health has been affected by the smart meters. There's plenty of solid physiological evidence now, but there isn't very much in terms of the literature, in terms of real people who are really suffering from this massive installation. I had realized a few years ago that I had mild electrical sensitivity, and I've been able to prevent the meter on our house so far. And one next door neighbor did also, and 3 neighbors across the street. But the neighbor on the other side said yes. So now I have meters 55 and 20 feet from my bedroom wall. And I didn't expect problems with them being that far away. However, I really did. Insomnia, body pain, noise in my ears. And my sleep is disturbed. And, you know, my electrical sensitivity is worsened and I can no longer drive my Prius. And I'd just like to say, we are the canaries in the coal mine, and CPUC members have the power to halt this dawning public health disaster. Please have the courage to really listen to what you're hearing from real people whose health is being damaged and take action. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lana Kane. I live in San Francisco. A year ago, they put a smart meter in my building, not even for my apartment.
I had insomnia. I had memory problems so bad I couldn't remember common words. I was staggering. I was dizzy to the point of staggering. What you need to know is that it's cumulative. It builds up. I have now, since they took it out last March, in this past year, I've lost half of my hair. I'm here to tell you something else. PG&E is the largest corporation in the U.S. Energy corporation. It has at least about $180 billion company. Dozens of Chronicle articles over the past few months have exposed it as enormously corrupt, making a profit the year before last of something like 1.7 billion profit in the year before last. But last year they only made 1.3 billion, and so they think that this entitles them to another 1.7 billion, and therefore should be allowed by the CPUC to raise rates on customers to pay for the San Bruno disaster-related repairs. Look, at the same company that brought you San Bruno disaster is the same one that's bringing you smart meters. Just please make that connection. They are so corrupt, and we really need your help. Thank you.
Joe Robinson, followed by Gerald Page.
Hi, I'm Jill Robinson. I own a house in Corte Madera, but now I'm having to live in Sausalito. First off, I want to ask that you remove any preconceived ideas about me, that you envision me as your most beloved family member. I'm your daughter, I'm your sister, your wife, the love of your life. And you do not want me to experience pain or illness or suffering. You don't want me to feel expendable or invisible or unimportant because you are hearing me. Here, please. Since the installation of smart meters on my house, I cannot live there. I cannot be there. I get asthma. I get shortness of breath. However, I'm not asthmatic. I get headaches. I have never had headaches. I cannot sleep more than a few hours. My body feels like electricity courses through it. I now have heart palpitations. I've never had them before. My doctor can verify all of this, and she is concerned. Worst of all, my cell phone now gives me headaches. I need my cell phone. I have an 8-year-old son who has autoimmune issues. I've become sensitive to electricity since the installation of the smart meter, such that I can't even talk clearly sometimes. I search for words. If I can return home, if I can have that meter removed, I would pay more per month to opt out. If we could have that option, I will pay you $100 a month, PG&E, if I can go home again. There's a smart meter on my house. I can't go home. I get sick. Will I lose my house? Will I lose my health? I am the love of your life. I am worth more than millions of dollars. Please.
Thank you. Gerald Page.
Gerald Page, Marin County. When I read that the Commission was grappling with whether to adopt rules to protect utility employees from management retaliation, rules for enhanced penalties for life-threatening violations, imposing cost-sharing requirements on corporate shareholders, that you want to know what else is out there, what you can do to prevent another tragedy. Well, let me help you. Hinckley, 1996 to 2011. Sierra wildfires. Rancho Cordova. Tesoro shelter in place. Yes, San Bruno. Repeated explosion and fires in San Francisco's underground utility vaults. The forced installation of untested devices on an unwilling public. Endless spiraling rate increases. We are living with utility companies gone rogue, and it is time that this commission stopped enabling and started regulating.
Louise McTurnan.
I have had cancer, which has been in remission for 5 years, and I live with the fear that it could return. I oppose the use of smart meters because of the strong link to serious illnesses such as cancer. Obama's cancer panel just named EMF a definite carcinogen. I am additionally plagued with headaches, nausea, and tinnitus. EMF exposure significantly exacerbates these symptoms, which increasingly interfere with my daily productivity. PG&E has not been honest about the strength of smart meter emissions, giving us the average and not the peak values. Why do they need to blur the truth with the averages if they are so certain there is no public risk? The CPUC has never ordered an environmental impact report, and at the same time is ordering PG&E to rush the installation of the meters. I am standing before this commission to advocate for myself and others with precarious health issues. Please, will you do your part to help us?
Thank you. Josh Hart, Director of StopSmartMeters.org. I have a list at home that grows by more than a dozen every week. People who are doctors, lawyers, nurses, engineers, people who've never even heard about EMFs before, suddenly suffering from headaches, nausea, dizziness, inability to sleep. They ask me, how do I get this meter off my house so I can live my life? What do I tell them? What am I supposed to tell them? You know, the CPUC and PG&E, they think you're crazy. I also have another list that is constantly growing, and these are people who are willing to take personal, direct action to stop this insanity. I'm one of those people, and to be honest, Mr. Peavy, it is taking all the self-restraint that is in my heart to stop myself locking me to your chair right now in protest. I'm so disgusted by the inactivity of this commission. This smart meter rollout has been a half-baked debacle that is hurting California families, hurting their bank accounts, and violating their privacy. The CPUC's handling of the smart meter program has been at best a schizophrenic response. You knew back in the 1990s that EMF was hurting people, causing leukemia in children. You even sent out an insert of people's utility bills with advising them in ways to reduce their EMF exposure. And yet, you authorized a wireless rollout that has inflicted powerful radiation and incalculable harm to California. To make a mistake is understandable. It happens even with $2.2 billion projects. But to deny that that harm is taking place, to continue to inflict that harm, despite all the, I'm not finished, despite all the evidence, to refuse to hold public hearings on the issue in the face of nearly 30 cities and counties lining up against the program, that is criminal. With the new makeup of this commission, welcome Commissioner Florio, you have a chance to chart a new course. If you fail, may the justice system, civil society, judge you and hold you responsible for the harm you have done.
Thank you very much.
My name is Dave DeSanti. I live in Forest Mills, California, in Marin County. My son, Forrest DeSanti, suffered a serious head injury in March of 2009 that required rehabilitative surgery, reconstructive surgery involving the implanting of plates and mesh in his head. He has recovered nearly completely by July of 2010, but on December 5th, 2010, after he returned from 4 days away, he got serious headaches again, and only the next day did we find out that a smart meter had been inserted, not without our knowledge, in our house. Those headaches have continued. I have requested PG&E to have the smart meter removed, and he has a letter from his doctor sent to PG&E also requesting this. PG&E has talked to us, but they've not taken any action and have threatened removing our service, discontinuing our service, and criminal charges if we try to have the smart meter removed ourselves. I've heard that PG&E has removed smart meters, they have told me, because they interfere with electrical devices like garage door openers. My son's health and well-being is really more important than garage door openers. Please, please, force PG&E to remove these devices from homes where they are debilitating the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Commissioner Florio. I hope that you and Commissioner Sandoval will be willing to listen, to be open to the information that you're hearing, and to join Commissioner Simon, who we really appreciate your attitude towards the smart meters and being willing to learn more and to give people the option to opt out. This is destroying many, many people's lives, as you can hear. And in addition to the radio frequency problems, there's this switching power supply problem, which is also emitting these intense bursts that are making people ill. And that's going constantly 24/7. You can't turn these off, and it's against everyone's rights to insist that these be placed onto our homes. I just met a woman, Rebecca Heisler from San Diego. It's not only PG&E, of course. All the smart meters everywhere are giving these problems. And she has become so ill, she says, I feel like I've been voted off the planet after having 16 smart meters make her ill by her home. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Delaney. Ratepayers in California are being made to pay tremendous costs for PG&E and other utilities. Smart meters programs which have been thrust upon us. But PG&E predictions are increased customer energy conservation by using smart meters has never been tested to determine whether these predictions were actually based in reality. Moreover, to utilize a system that will actually provide real-time data for individual appliances will add considerable more electricity usage that is not now needed for analog meters, not to mention an increase in radiation. Additionally, these rules of data will collectively require storage of huge amounts of information and will itself require a tremendous increase in electricity usage. Utility companies have been busily touting their predictions of reduced peak electricity consumption with the use of smart meters, but they have been purposely ignoring these additional energy costs that would be part of a more honest accounting. Moreover, there already exists an inexpensive alternative if one wishes to conserve energy. It is small for portable energy usage meters, such as one on Amazon.com, which is plug-in, kill a watt meter for under $30. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to question why PG&E would want to roll out an ultra-expensive smart meter program in the first place when cheap and workable methods, such as was just mentioned by the previous speaker, are already available to encourage people to do energy conservation. And this is my feeling about why this is happening. Because without the RF chip smart meters, utility companies would not be able to control everyone's energy usage by remotely shutting them down or off, nor would they be able to mine for personal information, which threatens our freedoms and way of life. Perhaps another reason the utilities needed to come up with a new kind of meter is to try to justify the skyrocketing energy prices, which we were warned would happen. It's quite easy for an informed citizen to see the connection between the whole smart meter idea and the UN's Agenda 21, also known as Sustainable Development. It is a treasonous plan by the global elite to establish a one-world government, and it's based on the fraud of man-caused global warming. One of its written goals is to gain control over all human activity. By promoting smart growth and smart meters, this is obviously ways to carry out this goal. We know that PG&E was a participant in the Rio Earth Summit in 1992.
Thank you very much.
And has been a longtime supporter of the UN. I think this information gives us answers as to why PG&E continues to roll over us with their smart meter program and why this commission continues to allow it.
Lou Taveras from Sonoma County. I'm here to represent Orlene Kurla. She's the state president of the California Eagle Forum. She's unable to attend today, but she has this book that she has published, the Just Say No to Big Brother Smart Meters, the latest in biohazard technology, which she has asked me to bring a copy to each one of the commissioners. So I'll be leaving that with you when I'm finished. I also had a 3-minute letter of hers to read for you, but since we only have 1 minute now, I'll make 2 comments real quickly because I haven't heard them mentioned by the others, and that's the fact that the smart meters never had an environmental impact report because the report was waived, and also that the meters do not have a UL rating on them. Then, with what time I have left, I'd like to say we were reduced from 3 minutes to 1 minute because we had 39 people who wished to speak. If we had had 100 here, would you have given us about 15 seconds each? Because that's what it calculates out to. And if public image is important to you gentlemen all, I would suggest that when the young woman who started out with her tragedy about the San Bruno incident, if you could have at least given her the courtesy of your eyes on her rather than being busy with your notes or whatever you're doing.
Gordon Morgan. I'm a retired electronic engineer and I'm the senior research fellow for the Environmental Health Trust. This taking of testimony is a charade. And the reason it's a charade is you never act on anything. You've heard this testimony many, many times on health effects. No actions have been taken, no asking for doctor's reports or anything else. PG&E has been caught spying on smart meter opposition groups. CPUC never acted. PG&E released private emails from opposition groups while redacting their own to the public, to the media. CPUC's never acted. The CPU Foundation had a dinner, fundraising dinner, for all the utilities it regulates. This is open solicitation of bribery. You are hearing people every time coming here in large numbers and no actions are taken. I provided a report I wrote for the California Commission on Science and Technology challenging their smart meter report and directed it to go to Commissioner Florio. I'd be perfectly willing to talk about it. I have tons of information. This is total dereliction of duty by the CPUC. You do not represent PG&E or the other utilities. You represent the public.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Mark Hirschman. I am the District Director for California State Assembly Member Jerry Hill, who represents San Bruno in the State Assembly. Assembly Member Hill is unable to be here today. He's in Sacramento before a committee presenting a bill that he introduced which affects the survivors of the San Bruno gas pipeline explosion on September 9th. The Assembly member asked me to express his appreciation to the Commission for his decision to hold a planning meeting in San Bruno on April 18th. He hopes that you will take that opportunity to accept his prior invitation to visit the site of the explosion and meet there with local officials and residents. The Assembly member has also asked me to be here today to read the following statement into the record on his behalf. I wish to offer my congratulations to the new commissioners, Mike Florio and Cynthia Sandoval, and to express my hope that the newly constituted California Public Utilities Commission will make great strides forward in the coming years. The order instituting rulemaking, the OIR, item 50 before you today, is a good step on the path to improving the safety of California's natural gas pipeline infrastructure, and I look forward to working with the Commission towards this goal. However, one regulation proposed in the OIR is unsettling. The regulation as proposed would require an operator of a natural gas pipeline to report any event that causes a pipeline to exceed its maximum allowable operating pressure. However, there is one significant exception to this rule. The regulation as drafted would exempt any documented planned work activities from the reporting requirement. This exemption undermines an otherwise good policy. The federal government is currently examining and questioning PG&E's planned work activities as they relate to the September 9th explosion. Until we are satisfied that the public safety is not compromised by planned work activities, this exemption should be removed. I also want to emphasize the importance to my constituents of three components included in the OIR, these being the alignment of rate-making policies to better reflect commitments to public safety, corporate accountability, and a robust regulatory culture. As you commence the OIR process today, I hope that you will consider the concerns I have raised. I look forward to working with the Commission to improve the safety of California's natural gas pipeline infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Feldman, San Francisco. Good morning, Commissioners.
In the 1990s, the federal government mandated that MTBE be added to gasoline here in California, ostensibly to cut pollution. This additive insidiously poisoned drinking water up and down the state. Lawsuits were filed, and the oil companies were forced to pay damages, big time. Are you commissioners making the same sort of mistake here in permitting this ongoing deployment of the smart meter? Would it be prudent for you to impose a moratorium on its further deployment until the crucial questions of health consequences, assault on privacy inside the home, vulnerability to hacking, and the threat of explosion and fire are answered satisfactorily? There's a bank of 14 electric meters facing my living quarters, only 72 inches from my desk and only 8 feet from my bed. And there are 13 gas meters sitting directly against the west wall of my apartment. Are these so-called smart meters really safe enough to be located so close to home occupants? I'm very concerned about these meters so close to me being replaced by the smart meter. Are you going to continue to allow these meters to be deployed with these questions still unanswered and without further detailed investigation, or will you issue a moratorium immediately? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deborah Taveras, and I'm going to be submitting a 43-page document. It's hard to even believe that this is much more than just about people getting sick and becoming fatally ill. It's about a complete flaw in this entire system, period. I want this as evidence, and I want to know that you've read this and that you've addressed the legal and privacy concerns. I can hardly imagine that you could dare to continue to allow deployment of this self-deceptive illusion of technology called the smart grid upon people who do not want it. You will suffer from this too. I guess it goes without saying that EMF and RF factors are destroying people's health, but the issues are even more severe than that. The people that don't get sick are losing their privacy and freedoms. In this 42-page report, the ACLU and the Security Project and the World Privacy Institute, etc., have laid out in excruciatingly detailed the systematic invasion of our privacies that the smart meters will bring upon America, all of us. The California Constitution, Article 1, protects our privacy, our health, and our property. And you need to read it. You need to act in accordance with it. You work for us. We pay for you. We pay for the people that have appointed for you. If you did not, you cannot ignore our constitutional rights. It's not for public officials that took an oath to uphold the rights of the people to turn a blind eye to this massive invasion of our rights by the deployment of smart meters. You must stop this rollout immediately. This is an invasion of our constitutionally protected rights of privacy on a scale never before experienced in the United States of America.
My name is Barbara Dolan. I too have taken an oath. The primary purpose of your appointed position is to serve the people, which includes protecting their health by providing reliable power. If you are unwilling to do this, the elected politician, our governor, who appointed you, can find someone who will. I do not want microwave technology on my property. Additionally, I believe I have a collecting and transmitting smart meter, which greatly increases the radiation on my property. The Italian system uses a wired connection to transmit the information, which is preferable to the microwave technology PG&E is using. I have been personally affected. My health, the appliances in my home, my animals, my pets. At the moment, I do not have an opt-out option. I believe smart meters should be an opt-in for anyone requesting one. Please provide me with the option to have this meter removed. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Basha Crane, Vice President of Marin United Taxpayer Association. Alarmingly, this accumulation of electro pollution is making a portion of the world's population ill, as well as adversely affecting our environment. Well, unlike other devices, smart meters transmit impulses, the peak intensity of which PG&E refuses to disclose. We protesters view the large-scale addition of yet another layer of radio frequency radiation as an irresponsible experiment that lacks the informed consent of participants. Technology exists right now to install a wired system through phone lines or fiber optics, for example. Wired meters are smarter meters, and a wired grid would make a smarter grid. While meeting the energy efficiency goals that we support and practically eliminating health, safety, and cybersecurity risks. I never owned a cell phone or a laptop and have removed all fluorescent bulbs from my home. Europe has banned cell phones for people under the age of 18. Please limit more wireless technology by a moratorium on smart meters.
Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. I recently designed a large sign, a Statue of Liberty with a smart meter face and RF radiation coming out of its torch. I also painted a flag with smart meters for the stars. Both the Statue of Liberty and our flag have been symbols and beacons of freedom, safety, protection, and choice. But the smart meters make us sick and violate our constitutional rights to privacy and private property. As ex-Commissioner Loretta Lynch stated, it's all about money. The smart grid is a green hoax. A hallmark of addiction is a rampant, out of control, I can do whatever I want quality in order to get the next fix. PG&E's addiction to money and power has escalated to an all-time high. PG&E called an unexpected Sunday meeting and told its workers, I quote, ruthlessly install smart meters. They spend ratepayer hikes on slick full-page ads and thick, glossy mailers. Their addiction is sleazy, but more to the point, it's the slow kill. Yes. You're right, President Peavy. Regulation is not about micromanagement, but it's obvious PG&E cannot be managed. It's a dangerous company that must be broken apart and made into a not-for-profit, true public utility. And I also, in just closing, want to thank Commissioner Florio last time for stating that he wants to work as hard as a dog, because as you can see by all these testimonies, we are all sick as dogs. Thank you.
Thank you. William Hine, San Francisco. I'm an architect. It's been quite clear from what's been said so far that there are people who report these symptoms that they ascribe to smart meters. Now, a week ago, there was a photograph in the Chronicle showing Sooty Skull behind a large poster. And the caption on that photograph says, in effect, that the health effects have not improved. On the other hand, what the anecdotes that we have been listening to this morning should make it clear that a long-term study should have been begun before now to establish either that all of these people claiming health effects are imagining them, or that in fact there are health effects. And that should be done. It should perhaps be financed by PG&E, but it should not be under the control of PG&E. It should be under the control of an organization, possibly by Kaiser Permanente. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm Leslie DePianday. Does PG&E, who has a history of damaging public health, and whose mistakes were and continue to be paid for by the ratepayers, deserve our trust? 1929 through 2006, PG&E's Hunters Point power plant annually put out over 600 tons of pollutants in the air, creating a health disaster for the residents of Hunters Point.
2009, 2010, PG&E had taken money from ratepayers and used it to fight off fair competition. 2010, the San Bruno pipeline explosion. And currently, the smart meter, still inaccurate, unsafe, and RF radiation emitting meter, which is causing documented illnesses. With a record like this, how can we trust PG&E? Stop, please, commissioners, stop smart meter installations. Please enact a moratorium. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Marty Keel. I'm a visiting scholar at UC Berkeley. Week in and week out, month after month, people have come to these meetings to speak about the health problems they are experiencing after smart meters are installed. And yet the commissioners have joined PG&E in turning a deaf ear to these pleas. But when it comes to PG&E and the CPUC, the CPUC hears their message loud and clear. They have heard PG&E say that the meters are safe and within the FCC limits, and so they have accepted their claims that there's no need for further study. So when people complain about health problems, they essentially say, sorry, your symptoms don't match the FCC limits. We tend to worship technology in this culture. Smart meters represent a massive experiment in behavior control. PG&E and the CPUC would like you to believe that a small machine placed in our homes will transform our energy consumption, despite the fact there's not a single study that has shown that smart meters accomplish this goal. We know that PG&E has a habit of risk-taking behavior. And here we know from the San Bruno fire, and we are the living collateral damage from this further risk-taking behavior. It's too late to undo the damage caused by the San Bruno fire, but it's not too late to stop another catastrophe in the making. Please stop this insanity, stop the smart meter program, and do your job.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kate Bernay, and I've been studying EMS for about 30 years. Smart meters emit pulse, high frequencies with a dangerous ELF or extremely low frequency modulation signal. The spoken word of the hypnotist can be conveyed directly into the subconscious of the brain by modulated ELFs. The brain has the capacity to entrain itself or synchronize with smart meter ELFs. The subliminal stress created by an accumulation of electronic smog may be the ultimate weapon because it is imperceptibly subtle and strikes at the very core of life itself, all of which pulsates in time to the earth. Man-made EMFs cause aberrations in all organisms which may lead to our extinction. Renowned researcher Robert Becker decades ago called for a moratorium on introducing new untested electronic technologies to the environment. Like Eisenhower, Becker believed our very survival, and in Eisenhower's case, our very democracy, depends on the ability of upright scientists and other people of goodwill to break the military-industrial death grip on our policy-making institutions. And in the case of smart meters, the grip of corporate misuse of the airwaves.
Can the smart meter network systems be programmed to limit or reduce duty cycle and RF exposure? How do reflections from meters mounted, the meter mounting surface, ground, and adjacent structures impact RF exposure? What type of real-world smart meter installations result in RF propagation? And how does it, which deviates from free field predictions? These predictions are the ones that PG&E uses to assure my safety. Does the reduced mobility of a person receiving the exposure increase the level of exposure? I do not want a smart meter on my house until I feel that these very basic safety concerns have been addressed. Please heed the questions and concerns of your own DRA. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Toney with the Direct Action, the Utility Reform Network. We're very pleased that the Commission is going to be voting on opening a rulemaking today on the San Bruno explosion, but also looking at gas pipeline safety on a statewide basis. We think it's the right thing to do. We think it's the thing to do to help prevent accidents like this from happening again. We support the concern of Assemblymember Hill's office that we don't want to exempt reporting for planned pressure spike activities. I am here to present petitions, over 1,300 petitions from California residents who want to make sure that as the investigation rulemaking goes forward, that PG&E customers are protected from paying for the loss of life and property from the San Bruno explosions, that PG&E is required to release the locations and inspection records of gas pipelines running under densely populated neighborhoods, schools, hospitals, and emergency services, and that PG&E be prevented from diverting funds for inspection personnel and pipeline maintenance to other expenses. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Stranger. I live in the Sun Valley area of San Rafael in Marin County. And I'm here because I'm very concerned about this rollout of the PG&E smart meters. 13 years ago, I actually removed the cordless phones from my home because when I put them up to my ear, I could feel heat penetrating through my ear canal within about 20 to 30 seconds. And I had an infant child at the time. She has had a slight history of childhood migraines over the years, and so I am extraordinarily concerned that smart meters should be attached to our house, affecting our health, and giving access to PG&E in order for them to have broader band control than they even need in order to sell for advertisers for whatever their purposes are to simply make more profits. It seems to me that if you're supposed to be a public utility commission, where is the public interest in your name? If you're working with PG&E to facilitate their corporate greed, then this makes no sense at all.
Vicki Sievers, San Rafael. I'd like to tell you about my neighbor Kim, a once healthy woman who would like to be here herself today but is too ill. One September day, she began to experience a terrible headache and buzzing in one ear, and then a terrible, distressing feeling of disorientation. She had no reason to link her symptoms to smart meter installation because she was on PG&E's delay list until February, they told her. Her husband came home that evening, parks his car next to the meter box, and sees a new smart meter and an installation notice on the door. Naturally, they called PG&E the next day. There'd been a terrible mistake. They said, please come remove the meter. It's causing illness. PG&E refused. Over the next few days, her symptoms worsened. Insomnia set in. More calls, more refusal. The tinnitus spread to the other ear. She began to be unable to sleep at all without medication. In desperation, in January, still more calls, refusal. They pitched a tent outside in order to sleep away from the house. Some relief from the headaches, but the tinnitus lasts. They consulted an electrician, two electricians, an electrical engineer, an expert in filtering dirty electricity, to no avail. Now, in order to stay in their home of 32 years, they turn the breaker off almost all the time. Nighttime is flashlights, headbands with LED lights, no heat. This is the safe, reliable service that PG&E is delivering to my neighbors, Kim and Boston.
I'm Lisa Moscow. I've been a PG&E ratepayer at my address in San Rafael for 40 years. I've had no electric problems at my house for 40 years until the smart meter was installed. I am old enough to remember when CPUC was doing its job. The smart meters are damaging to human health and animal health. They're causing major electric problems in my home, which are too numerous to mention here. At the Marin County Board of Supervisors meeting, 50 people testified against the meters for various reasons, mostly health reasons. I think that if you as a commission feel that your hands are tied for some reason, like, the Democrats, the Republicans, the federal government, whatever, then there's no reason for you to exist. You should abolish yourself. We have a crisis in this state. We can't afford to pay for officials who are not doing their jobs. And I'm asking you, is it your job to give a $20,000 employee benefit dinner for yourself attended by utility companies? Thank you.
My name is Adam Greenfield. Well, PG&E has hardly done much to ingratiate itself recently with the public. Let's call their behavior what it is, shady. Elsewhere in California, they've gone around lying to people, saying that they're going to cut their electricity if they don't have smart meters installed. That's not true. There's been many more examples of lying, and now in San Francisco, they've actually started installing these meters, often without the knowledge of people who live in those residences. That's shady. Let's have a moratorium on smart meters in San Francisco. Let's make sure they obey that moratorium this time. And let's have an honest discussion about these smart meters. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stuart Matthews. I'm here to make a couple of points. First of all, there have been over 30 people here today making public comment, asking politely to please not have these smart meters be installed. And these aren't crazy people. You need to listen to them. This is the public that's speaking to you. Second of all, no one's mentioned the Chronicle article that was on A1 yesterday showing the effects of cell phones on the brain. And so these are real effects appearing in page 1 of a corporate newspaper. My third point is that I'm sure you must be familiar with the precautionary principle stating that if there's a large number of people that should possibly be negatively affected by something, you have to use the utmost precaution when making a decision like that. And I'm also here to say that if you do not follow the precautionary principle, I do plan on seeing every one of you be held accountable. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Margaret Chong, San Francisco resident and physical therapist. Smart meters are being installed with a cost of anywhere from $2.2 billion to $10 billion. This financial burden is placed unfairly on the public. It is touted as an ecological way to decrease energy use without any documentation that it actually will change consumers' usage, and without environmental impact studies to human health and ecological health as well. These physical risks are both known and unknown, and it is your job as the Public Utilities Commission to protect the public. Please stop smart meter rollout. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Thomas, and I want to welcome the new commissioners, Florio and Sandoval. And I'm here today reading for a person who couldn't come because there were no accommodations provided for her because of her electrosensitivity. And there are many of these people who cannot come today. So I'm reading for, my name is Sue Bozo. I reside in Fairfax, California. I have electrical hypersensitivity and multiple chemical sensitivities. I've been essentially homeless for the last 3 years as I try to find safe long-term housing. Lived in 8 temporary places in the last year. Her issue had been mostly chemical safety until the smart meters were put in. She lived in Berkeley, where I am from, this past summer in the operating smart meter network and got sick from them. Overstimulation, overagitation, hyperactivity, anxiety, panic, couldn't concentrate, remember or read or write well, nausea, headache, couldn't connect with myself or others. They turned off the 2 smart meters 10 feet from my bed, but I remained sick from all the neighbors' smart meters. She makes a point that she moved, she came to Marin, and then they were starting to roll them out there. Huffman's opt-out bell's not enough because people, the neighbors make them sick. And she makes a point, we need smart meter-free towns and cities. How can she travel? How can she visit her friends? She wanted me to leave with you, and I brought a writing on Dietrich Klinghart's, a doctor's pilot study showing very strong correlation between electrosmog and autism. And also, I'll just read one sentence from, and I'll leave with you, paper, Maggie Zhao, who's my molecular biologist, and she's been working with climate issues for 2 or 3 years. And she comes out with this statement: fundamentally, it's time for a paradigm shift in society from embracing new technologies, devices, and chemicals until proven unsafe to withholding large-scale deployment until proven safe.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Larry Yee. I'm a Communication Workers of America here in San Francisco, Secretary Treasurer. I want to speak to the issue of the smart meter. We work around it every day, and it proposed, I guess, a health risk for us. So we asked this commission here to make the study and not go forward with the smart meters because our safety is also at risk too. So we work around it, not like your residents or the consumers who are at home. We're right there in front of that meter. So we're asking you, what is the safety effect for us, our members? And we ask you to make sure that you do it and make sure that we're safe as well. So thank you for your time.
That now concludes the public comment portion of our agenda today. We're now going to go to our consent agenda.